Today we're going to do something a little different. I always find interesting newspaper articles when I'm researching, and in the past I've just pointed them out during the video, even if they don't have anything to do with the story that I'm working on. Well, I decided to just start collecting them, and so every so often I think I'll just do a video talking about some of the newspapers that I find. Some are funny, some are shocking, some are sad, some are describing the culture, and some are just in there because they're interesting in some way. So buckle in and enjoy on this episode of Antique Bottle Stories. I arranged them in chronological order because why not? So let's start in 1837. Now this one's a cultural article. It's titled Bowing to the Ladies, a volume on etiquette. Now remember, we're coming up on 200 years ago here. It says, if you meet a lady of your acquaintance in the street, it is her part to notice you first, unless indeed you are very intimate. The reason is, if you bow to a lady first, she may not choose to acknowledge you, and there is no remedy. But if she bows to you, you, as a gentleman, cannot cut her. Skipping down a bit, it says General Washington, who was a perfect Chesterfield, returned the salutation of an old colored gentleman in the streets by taking off his hat, saying to a friend who remonstrated, "You would not desire to see a black Mac excel me in politeness." And further down in the article it says, no lady ought to speak to a gentleman first, unless, indeed, they are on most friendly terms. No lady should put herself in a position to be cut by a gentleman, if a gentleman could be guilty of such rudeness. A ballroom acquaintance, a partner in dance, a slight acquaintance of the evening, it may not be desirable to cultivate or encourage beyond a mere bow of recognition, which no lady refuses to return. I just found it really interesting, including the term of being cut by a lady or a gentleman as a form of denial or dismissal. Here's another one from 1837. Notice is hereby given that my wife Nancy has left my bed and board without just cause or provocation. Therefore, I forbid any person harboring or trusting her on my account, as I will pay no debts of her contracting. Signed, Levi Burroughs, May 12, 1837. Still in 1837, here's another one. Here's just a bunch of ads for these fancy coney hats. This is just culture. Anyone else want to time travel for just a glimpse of a day in the life of 1837? Here's 1837 in Philadelphia. $10 reward. The subscriber, having been seriously annoyed for weeks past by a congregation of disorderly boys who assemble nightly in front of his residence, 110 South 3rd Street, which is now the site of the Museum of the American Revolution, and they commit depredations, injuring his property and threatening the safety of himself and family, offers the above reward for the apprehension and conviction of the villain who, he is led to believe, belongs to this lawless assemblage that, on the evening of the 6th, cast a stone through the window of his dwelling, aimed presumably at himself. He just wants to bring the guilty to deserved punishment. Now this one's on the same Philadelphia newspaper page. It says, will be open for exhibition at the Masonic Hall on Chestnut Street on Thursday the 5th. 2 albinos, or white Negroes, both females, one 5 and one 3 years of age. They were born in New Jersey to parents of pure African blood who will be seen with them. Also, a small child which, like their parents, is perfectly black. They have been visited by many scientific gentlemen who pronounce them one of the greatest natural curiosities of the age. Hours of exhibition are from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Admittance, 25 cents. Children, half price. Now that one's just sad. We're in 1872 for this one. Here's a report of 2 murders. Willis Williamson, living near Muncie, Indiana, followed his daughter where she had gone to marry a man named Landry. He found the young woman at the house of a relative. He cut her throat, killing her instantly. He then shot himself twice in the mouth with a revolver. How did he get the second shot off? The second one says, a brutal murder was perpetrated last Friday. The body of an unknown woman was found by the mountainside, horribly burned and otherwise mutilated. Her legs were completely burned off at the knees. The opinion prevails that she was first outraged, strangled to death, and then burned. A man named Moore has been arrested and charged with the murder. Flag Day 1884, a history lesson. The American flag was adopted in 1777. Every colony had its particular ensign, and the Army and Navy of the United Colonies displayed various flags. The necessity of a national flag was long felt. Continental Congress adopted the flag of the United States, 13 stripes alternating red and white, and 13 white stars on a blue field representing a new constellation. I actually didn't know about the constellation part. There are a few other history points there if you want to pause it. 1900. Henry A. Carroll, a Negro preacher who married an interracial couple, Lena Holtgreave, who was white, to Robert Burnside, colored, was arrested yesterday. The girl was released on bail, and Burnside went to jail. So the preacher and the groom are both in jail. 1901. Need shoes? Get these bad boys for $1.98. 1908. Ever wonder how to make a homemade barometer? You take a string about 15 inches long, soak it for several hours in a strong solution of salt and water. After being dried, tie a weight to one end and hang it on the wall. Mark the wall where the weight reaches. The barometer is now complete. It is as accurate as a $100 instrument. The weight will rise with wet weather, and it will fall for fine weather. 1910. A telephone ad. Look at that dude in his horse-drawn wagon with an umbrella. It says, do you drive to town and find the market unfavorable for your produce? The farmer who has a telephone in his home can telephone first. The useless trips thus saved are worth the cost of the service. Here's 1912 and a 1920. Loses his right hand. When he was attempting to remove a stalk from a corn shredder today, Theodore Mummenshine's right hand was caught in the machinery and torn off. Man loses left hand. Mr. Simmerman, an insurance agent, blew off his hand while out hunting. The accident happened when Simmerman fell on his gun. He walked over a mile with his hand hanging by a few threads before he could find transportation to a hospital where the hand was amputated a few inches above the wrist. 1915. Bissell carpet sweeper. Now I remember my grandma having one of these in the 70s. In 1920 you could get a diamond ring for $35 to $50, paying $1 a week. You could put that sucker on layaway. Here's a 1920 ad for Necco Wafers. I remember these chalky little candies. I had to go check and see if they were still being made. They are! Check out this 1920 washing machine ad. The Easy electric washer cleans clothes by air pressure and suction. I didn't know Ouija boards were over 100 years old. Did you? 1921. It says, don't go out half-dressed, girls. Have a bird or a snake or your initials or something fancy painted on your back when you wear evening gowns, or you aren't fully clothed, according to Miss Bird Millman, New York girl, whom you see here being decorated for a party by artist Millard. Did you know that juicy fruit was 100 years old? Well, it was actually introduced in 1893. I wonder if it had the same 30 seconds before the flavor ran out like it does today. In 1930, a cheap 3-piece bedroom suite goes for $69.95. Any guys in the market for a nightgown? It's made of fine cotton twill, large and roomy. It even has a pocket. Only $2.50. 1931. 2 interesting thoughts for the day. A man who has 2 wives is called a bigamist. A woman who has 1 husband is a monologist. The second thought, it says, everyone in this world must do something useful to justify his presence there. I actually like that. Also, in 1931, here's a kid named Canute Holm. Turns out his dad has the same name. Turns out young Canute is a direct descendant of King Canute, who ruled England in the 11th century. For 23 generations, all male Holmes have been christened Canute. I wonder if that's actually still going on today. 1932. This is titled, These Are Fashion Experts. Here are 4 4-H girls who won the National Style Show Championships wearing clothes that they've made themselves. 1945. 666 cold preparations. Well, I don't know who in their right mind would name their product that, but I found a few things here that show it in boxes there, and it says liquid, salve, tablets, and nose drops. So there's bottles out there somewhere for this, and when I get a hold of one, I will look into the story. 1953. Wife slayer to inherit almost $280,000. When James Plunkett gets out of prison in as little as 3 more years, he can claim the $280,000 estate his wife left him in her will. He's currently serving a 5 to 8 year term. He shot her 5 years ago. Plunkett was indicted for second-degree murder, but he was convicted of manslaughter. And since he was convicted of the lesser charge, he is entitled to the inheritance. The Connecticut Supreme Court ruled on Monday. Apparently, Connecticut law prohibits inheritance if it's first or second-degree murder, but not for manslaughter. I wonder if that's still true today. And I wonder if he got the money. And the last one today is from 1953. It says, "Let's carve some of that fat off of hubby. Put down the knife. We don't do it that way. We simply put him on the 12-day tubby hubby diet." The double standards, am I right, guys? As if there could be an ad saying the tubby wife diet, right? Well, that was fun. I'm going to do this every so often, and I hope you enjoyed the roller coaster of emotions we experienced on this one. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.